John Brown was born in Torrington, Connecticut on May 9, 1800. Brown's father owned a small tannery and supported the family through his work there. Brown worked for his father in the family tannery until he was able to afford to get his own. But times grew hard, and the Browns were unable to keep their business and soon went into debt. Fighters were attacking. Brown burned with a religious fire and saw his actions as the act of God. Brown soon becomes deeply involved in the Kansas conflict and is soon a leading fighter. It marches into Kansas, and Brown sets out to stop him. A conflict ensues, and men die on both sides. During the conflict, 2 of Brown's sons are captured by Pate's men, and in a daring counterattack, Brown captures Pate and some of his men. Brown forces Pate to sign a treaty, ensuring Brown's son's safe release when Pate is let go. The victory gains Brown great fame. Brown's last military action in Kansas is in the Battle of Osawatomie against Major General John W. Reed. Reed's force is much larger than Brown's, at about 300 men, and is marching up from Missouri. John and his men are forced to fall back, and one of John's sons is shot in the retreat. In retaliation for his son's death, John orders his men to hide behind trees, rocks, and other natural impediments, and kills 20 and wounds 40 of Reed's men before retreating. Brown's quick and strategic thinking allows him to pull off this victory against Reed's outnumbering force. Brown left Kansas, but not before becoming a saint to many Northern abolitionists. To make 1,000 pikes to arm slaves with. Brown believed that a rebellion was at hand and that he would lead it. On October 16, 1859, John led a raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia, with 21 of his followers. There was a federal armory at Harper's Ferry, and Brown planned to arm slaves with the guns he would steal from there. He forgot, though, to inform any slaves that he was doing the attack, and so no one came to his aid besides the 21 followers he brought with him. At first, the attack went well. There was only one guard on duty at the armory, and he was quickly subdued. Brown's next plan was to take the sword of Colonel Washington, the great-great-nephew of George Washington. The sword had belonged to George Washington, and Brown thought it should belong to him, since he was another person fighting for freedom. If only Brown had put more thought into getting more followers instead of the sword, his plan might have worked. Brown had planned a revolution, but he had not brought any food or supplies with him, and he was basically held up in the small armory of Harper's Ferry. Things started to go wrong when some of Brown's men shot a railroad conductor as he went by on a train. The railroad conductor happened to be free and black. They let the train go, though, and the people on board told the authorities. As news of John's takeover spread, Virginia militiamen and farmers came to stop him. The scene started to get out of hand, and people began to die on both sides, including the kindly mayor of Harper's Ferry. Brown and his men lost control of the bridge to the armory, and Brown decided to pull his men back to the engine house, a small brick building that was right at the entrance of the armory. Here Brown hoped to hold out until reinforcements arrived or until the slaves who he hoped would rise up came to his aid. He and his men barred the doors and drilled holes in the walls to point their guns out and shoot at the militiamen. But luck was not with Brown. Instead of slaves showing up to aid him, the U.S. Marines, led by Robert E. Lee, showed up to end the fight. Their leader, Robert E. Lee, would later become the leading Confederate general. The Marines stormed the engine house, and the fight was soon all over. Brown was captured and with the remainder of his men and sent off to await trial. Brown was hung on December 2, 1859, but not before he caught the attention of the entire nation with his great rhetoric during his courtroom appearance. The guards at Brown's hanging included T.J. Jackson, who would soon be standing like a stone wall. Also present was an actor named John Wilkes Booth. Even though Brown did not succeed in his slave rebellion, he can be pointed to as a key figure who started the Civil War.